Hello, traveler. It is 5:45 in the morning on the 19th of May, 2022. I am much further behind in this project than I expected, and I honestly got distracted by a different project. I spent a lot of time thinking about a different project and not thinking about this one, and I'm actually in the phase of planning where I'm supposed to be thinking about it. If I were thinking about it a lot, it would be going a lot smoother, but I had this other idea pop up, and of course I did that writer thing where I spent way too much mental energy thinking about the new project and not the one that I'm currently working on. But I had a few ideas for this, and I'm back to it, which I am very happy about. It does mean that if I'm going to keep my 1 book in 6 month timeline, I have a lot of planning to do in the next 2 weeks before I can start writing. I don't know how feasible that is, but at least this morning we are going to sit down and do some writing here, planning here. Well, there'll be a little bit of writing involved. But yeah, so come along with me for my current day of writing / content creation. So after, 45 minutes, maybe an hour of sort of planning through here, I made some decent progress, not quite as much as I would have liked to got done today, but I did tease out a few more ideas in this. What I'm actually doing with this is in 2014, I wrote a book that, as it is, I think it would fit somewhere in YA, and it is extremely linear. It was the first book that I ever wrote. I really like the characters from it. I think I did a really good job with characters. I think I was of the opinion then, and I still am now, though not as strongly, that character-driven fiction is something that I had a lot of interest in, that I thought was very compelling. And so I did a lot of work developing the characters then. What I didn't do was have a good plot or have a good setting, really. The world was extremely rudimentary. It was not well thought out at all. The liveliness of the world, the completeness of the world, the way that the world felt, was very condensed. It seemed like the only events that were happening in the world were happening around the main characters, and other than that, there was nothing going on. No one else had any sort of motivations. Even some of the side characters had very weak motivations and goals and aims and their own plots. It was extremely linear. Well, since then, I've been for the last year and a half, maybe even 2 years at this point, I've been building this world, mostly to play Dungeons and Dragons in. But as I did so, I started building out this campaign that I'm now playing with my friends, and it's been a lot of fun, and I have a lot of history, and I wanted to not write a book about that history, but I saw some interesting things that I could do with it, and a cool plot started to emerge. But I was like, okay, well, I don't have any characters in mind for this. What should I do? And as I was thinking about it, I was like, I could take these cool characters that I had before and sort of mash it together. Well, as I've been mashing together, I found in my original version, one of the characters was the last descendant elf.
well, that doesn't really work because elves are very common in my world now. And so I had to figure out this other thing. And that was very wrapped into why this person was special. And so I've got this other thing, and the world is dramatically different, and the origin story is dramatically different. I had a lot to play with, but I'm mashing those characters into the world. And as I do so, one of the things that I'm really trying to do is tease out a lot of not side plots, but complexity in the world, to where it feels like there are individuals and entities moving around with their own motivations, their own goals, their own things. And as I'm building those, trying to tie those into different plot points as we go. And actually, I'm having to refigure out a whole new plot. So I am, in a way, starting from scratch, and in another way, not starting from scratch. But the story has dramatically changed since the first time that I wrote this book. So I wouldn't even really consider it a rewrite, but the groups of people I'm calling factions, which is just a general term that I'm using. But those are sort of developing and coming along nicely. And as I figure out who's in those things and what those things are about and what their goals are in the story, I'm finding it's much easier to plot across the book for many of the characters and how they're going to interact and things that are happening. And so I made some pretty good progress today, but it is now 7:23. I need to get ready for work and head out of here. So I will catch up with you guys a little later in the day. Actually on my way home for lunch now. I've been thinking about this sort of all morning as I've been working. What do I want my story to feel like, right? I'm trying to build this big complex world, and like, why am I doing that? What is the feeling that I'm looking for from this story? What about the big complexity do I want the reader to find entertaining? That's probably a big point of that. And I have found myself very fascinated with a really complex mystery that takes a while to sort of tease out how the parts are even connected. The kind of thing where you get to the end and you go, like, no way, right? Like, I couldn't possibly see that coming. That's crazy. I think complexity lends itself to that. And so that is a element of that. Say hi to dog. That's an element of that I'm looking for. I think that I'm doing a decent job, but that's why I'm spending so much time on the planning stage of this. Not just because of the fact that I do, in terms of pantser or plotter, I am more of a plotter, but I do like the idea of being able to make something in chapter 1 or 2 or 3, like in a very long book, because I have a feeling that this thing's going to be pretty meaty. It's going to be pretty thick. That towards the end of that, it was a significant thing, not just for the reader, but for the character, and having that level of, I think, impact helps with complexity. So, please enjoy my drive to and from work, and I will be back with you guys in a minute. So, feeling mega behind as I was, and going to just check and make sure that I wasn't being irrationally neurotic, which it turns out I was. I went to look at my plan, my binder, which I have not decorated yet. Don't judge me. April, I was supposed to do a bunch of planning here. It seems as if a lot of the things that I jotted out for day-to-day things took way less than day-to-day, because I did 3 days for coming up with minor characters, and they sort of seem to just fly out when I'm coming through different aspects of the planning process, where I'm building factions. Well, each faction sort of needs to have a head or a representative of some kind, the interaction point for the main characters. Well, that boom, I know what they are doing, and then it takes me a second, what would a person in this position want? What would they be working towards? When this thing happens in the story, how would that change what they think and feel? Boom, 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 done. And honestly, I did 4 of those in one day this morning. And that was also while helping define factions. The week of the 1st to the 7th, I was supposed to be doing arc timelines, which honestly, I've rolled into this too. That's still what I'm working on, but we are on the 19th, so I have this week and then another half week before I'm supposed to start full out writing. I think I'm still a little behind, but I'm not nearly as behind as I felt I was. I started working on last week was supposed to be about main character timelines, and I started working on that today. And so, am I a week behind? Yes. Am I working at a faster pace than I originally wrote down in the planner? Also, yes. Although main character timelines take a little longer than, individual thing timelines. I think over the next week and a half, I'll be able to basically timeline out the whole rest of the book. And I follow a thing where I go through and each basically major plot point or event, I will chart across in time and down in characters. And so each column then is what that particular chapter is basically going to be about, what the thing is, and you can see who's involved and what they want in that moment in that. And so it sort of helps me as I'm going through to be okay, I know where I'm going next. I'm changing this POV. I'm going to this. I've been watching a lot of Sarah LeBrot recently, and she's one fantastic and an excellent demonstration on how to do what I'm doing. This is one of the things that she's inspired me to start doing, is just talking about my process, because I get a lot of use out of her talking about her process, and I would like to provide that to someone else as well. But she is also amazingly adept at consistently showing up, not necessarily to write, but with passion on what she's doing. And that is something that I would like to emulate. So I really enjoy that. But she's been talking a lot about POVs recently, and it was something that I never really thought about before. I sort of have always just been okay, well, these are my main characters in this. And she's talking about she has switched who the main character of any individual story has been. And honestly, until recently, I had never really had that happen. But with this project specifically, I sort of am. One of my characters has shifted, and she was a POV character before, but she has become way more integral to the story. And honestly, I feel like I'm going to like writing from her perspective a lot more, because of the fact that I spent some time to think about okay, this was a POV character, but it felt shallow. And from Sarah talking about it, I sort of went, okay, well, if it feels shallow, maybe I'm not spending enough time. I'm not spending enough energy on this. Maybe I'm not spending enough depth into the character. I need to spend some more time with the character in the planning stage so that they can show up better on the page. But no, now that I've looked at my binder, I feel pretty good about where I'm actually at, especially since I'm sort of nailing down the schedule a little better day to day. And that's, I think, getting me to put more on paper as we go. But I have to head back to work. I'm actually late as of now. Gotta go. right, we are off work. I went to the store, bought some batteries because I thought that my remotes had gone bad, and then I realized that my power strip was actually just clicked off, and so it wasn't the remote that was out of batteries, but the TV that was off. But it's okay because now I have new batteries, and I got some other stuff that while I was at the store that I needed anyways. So ran a couple of errands. I've had my after work snack. I am currently in the process of trying to up my diet, not by calories, because I want to sort of stay at maintenance calories, maybe just a little bit above it, and lean bulk as I go. But I need to get more protein, and so I did a little turkey sandwich wrap basically thing that I did 3 little ones. It's mostly turkey, so picked up, I think it's like 20 grams of protein or something there, so that's going to help me out. But we are going to go to the gym, then we're going to come back, then we're going to edit videos, actually, and then we are going to maybe get to touch on some story stuff before the end of the day, but I feel really good about my progress already today in terms of writing. If I get anything more done, that will sort of be a kicker. It'll be a benefit, but we may end up looking at some stuff there. But yeah, so we'll go down, then come back. And yeah, the next time you guys see me, I will be back here post gym sweat. And we will see what we're working on from there. I got some painting to do tonight. It's gonna be a fun night. I'm gonna get to do a lot of creative things, and hopefully some of that is gonna be writing, working on a website, and maybe working on a short story. So see you guys in a minute. So it is now the 23rd, the morning of the 23rd, and I've been trying to work. There was actually a vlog that was supposed to go before this one, but then there was a camera issue and a mix-up, and I lost all that footage. But I want to talk about how I'm organizing this, which was the point of that video, and I've sort of like dragged it into this, so let's just do it. I have a binder in which I created a bunch of tabs for different things. So in here we have the plan, which involves a calendar that's sort of color-coded month by month. I need to go through and plan the rest of May, which is almost over. And that's how I know I'm behind. But then I also have a tab on things about my main characters. I need to actually punch out some things and put them in here. Things about side characters. I have factions, which is going to play a major part in this book. So I want to have all of that information when I finish that. That'll go in here. I plot using arcs for each character, and really the main characters and the sub characters. But I will plot an arc across. It's more of a timeline than an arc, but it'll detail the specific sections of the book, what's important in each section, sort of what each character is driving towards in each scene. Maps, if I have to incorporate those. I have a couple of world maps and stuff that when I finish, I will print out and put in here. And then any notes on things. Right now I have notes on a bunch of the gods that I've designed for the world. So I keep everything in that binder, and I find that those sections at least help me out when I get stuck in something, especially once I get to the writing. Having those arcs out there really lets me know, like, this is the focus. And so I don't ever wonder where I'm going. Like, I can really focus on the words and the sentences and making sure the language flows, and really focus on the language aspect of things, and not necessarily worried that my plot is going way off course. It changes, of course, but it stays mostly to that path. There are things that come off of it, but so I use a binder. I know lots of people call this like a story Bible or something like a story Bible. Some people don't plot at all. You really just have to try a bunch of things and figure out what works for you. And something along this line has worked for me in the past. So I keep coming back to something like this, although it changes a little bit every time to suit the individual book's needs. But yeah, I'm excited to be into, this is a pseudo draft 2 of this project, although it's more like a draft 1 of a new project that takes elements of an old project. So we'll see how that goes. I can't wait to see you guys next time. Thanks for stopping by, Traveler.